Golf. It's a game that has frustrated players for centuries. It provides an odd mixture of joy and pain for everyone who picks the game up. The game of golf cannot be perfected, though many have tried. And perhaps no one got as close to perfection as Mr. Ben Hogan. Our story begins with a student and a lesson, the way the game has been passed down from generation to generation.
What do you think was the secret?
Well, there are many. I think it's the way he used his hips. I think it's the way he took the club from the top. I think it's how he got through the ball. I think it's how he released it. I think it's how his right arm got straight.
I'm trying to keep that feeling of the uninterrupted motion of the sling that you taught me, and not try and steer it or just let it do what it does, and then I make my adjustments from the ball flight.
Yeah, here's how you practice that. So to really get the work around, what you do is, so what you were doing was still doing that too much. So what you want to do is, you want to just go here, do this as hard as you can. Now, what you do is see how low I keep my foot. And the thing that's great about this is how close it wants to stay, because you're never going to have not going to have that instinct, right? This wants to stay here, and then when we go through, you know, if you started throwing it, you go, well, that feels pretty silly. Why would I do such a thing as that? But you can pull it, right? There's no pull in a sling. I believe the most important golfer that ever lived was, without question, Mr. Hogan. Because he gave us so much, and there's obviously there's people that are in his league, but I to me, and what he did, and the precision that he had was unlike no other. Turn your wrists off, turn your arms off, get your hips through. What was that like? Boom. He wrote Power Golf in 1948. The pictures in Power Golf are the best pictures in golf instruction. And then the 5 lessons was a series of articles in Sports Illustrated that eventually evolved into a book. Hit the bag. Hit it halfway up the bag. Hit Mr. Hogan right in the waist. So you see this? So where do you think Hogan will be?
Not sure.
Okay, good answer. Stand right there. Here's where he'd be. Here's where you were. Slightly past your leg. He was right here. Inside of his left thigh.
So he hasn't thrown it away.
No, he's still pulling it. Hogan's like this when he hits it, like remarkably on his chest when he hits it. In the next frame, you go, okay, he's going to lose it. No, he actually has it on more. Because, like you said, we're going around in a circle, and this is inert, and I'm turning against it. I'm not using it at all. I'm not using my arm at all.
Yeah.
Right? So now we get to shoot. That's what gets shot, not this. What I think he did was he applied physics better than everybody else. Well, have you ever been to Texas?
Just passing through.
That would be a godsend for everybody that's Hogan interested.
Christo Garcia was a long-suffering golfer. Obsessed with the game, Christo would spend hours practicing, but he never got better.
I had been a decent player when I was younger, and I just got worse and worse as I got older. And I actually quit the game of golf for 4 years out of sheer frustration.
Fortunately, Christo's luck would soon change once he found his inspiration.
Hi, I'm Don Garcia, Christo Garcia's older brother. When Christo was 8 years old, I took him to the golf course for the first time at our club, Little Cypress, a 9-hole course in Zolfo Springs, Florida. Christo fell in love with the game immediately, and like he does with all things, he went full bore to learn and be as good as he could be. Chris was a very good player in high school, led his team. You know, after playing for a number of years, Chris started to see diminishing returns in his work to improve his game. Sure, most golfers have ups and downs, and let me change that. All golfers have ups and downs. The severity of those ups and downs that causes a lot of aggravation. Chris had achieved a very high level, but after that point in high school, his description, his game fell off the tracks, and he really struggled to find that part of his game again, and it's taken a number of years until he's able to do that.
That's a good looking golf shot. Too bad it went in the next fairway.
Hey, come on. I'm gonna go visit my friend George. In the mid-90s, I became friends with a guy named George who wanted to help me with my golf game because he knew I was really frustrated. And he took me out to the course and gave me some lessons, and that day I shot 126. Hey, brother. What's up, man?
I met Christo in 1996 in Tampa, Florida. I know Christo has a background in athletics. He told me he was an athlete in high school, and he also went to South Florida, and I know he was in the arts program. He did a lot of dancing. I've seen his martial arts videos, and I've wrestled him a few times, and he is a great athlete, and he's got a nice physique, and he's an athletic person. And we did a lot of wrestling, played a lot of golf, so we had our share. We used to go and play pickup basketball in the afternoons on Swan Avenue in Tampa. Basically, when Christo was playing golf in the 90s, he basically was just throwing his hands at the ball and trying to create all his club head speed with his hands. Basically, what he had to do is go back and start over again. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I think I actually introduced Christo to the Hogan's 5 Lessons book. I had it, and I showed it to him, and a few people have taken that book and used that book alone and have made it to the PGA Tour.
Christo decided to make a YouTube channel to chronicle his attempts to rebuild his swing using Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons. Originally, Christo's goal was to someday break 80, but that was quickly eclipsed in just a few months.
It's early August. My last 3 rounds have been 77, 82, 78. Playing pretty good now.
Within a few years, Christo had broken par, and today his YouTube channel has over 12 million views and tens of thousands of subscribers from around the world.
Great hit, dude.
What happened with my swing evolution was literally a dream come true, and I genuinely feel like the luckiest golfer in the world. Since my golf channel was getting so popular, I decided to make an instructional documentary called The Hogan Code. It was pretty successful, so then I decided to take what I'd earned and start making a documentary about Ben Hogan. This is a pretty big risk I'm taking, but I decided it's now or never.
Christo made arrangements to play in the annual Ben Hogan Foundation golf tournament in Texas and hired a crew to begin filming the documentary.
I believe that Ben Hogan was likely the most influential golfer that ever played the game. Of course, he had a very exceptional tournament record, and then when you think about the secret and the accident that he had to come back from to continue competing, it's just unbelievable. And then you have to think about the fact that he made some of the finest golf clubs ever made, and then his influence over the instruction of the game of golf is unparalleled because of 5 Lessons in Power Golf. The only golfer I can think of that maybe comes close is Jack Nicklaus. Unfortunately, when I got to Texas, there were some massive storms coming in, so they had to push the tournament back 6 weeks.
It's starting to actually flood over by my apartment, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. My name's Colby Husby. I'm a golfer from Dallas, Texas. I stumbled upon my swing evolution about 6 years ago and have been following along with Christo's work ever since.
Colonial Country Club. Hogan's Alley,
Hogan's
number
Alley.
There's 3 Hogan's Alleys. How many Hogan's Alleys?
Everywhere, wherever he wants to show up.
That's his alley, man.
Last year for my birthday, my roommate actually surprised me and said, hey, you know, would you like to go to Los Angeles? And knowing that that is where Christo shoots his videos, I was like, you know what, since I'll be there, I might as well see if I can get some time carved out from him and see if I could get together. And thankfully, after he responded to the email, things just kind of fell in place, and after that, that was pretty much history as we know it.
I'm assuming this is it, because that's a very impressive building.
It doesn't get much more colonial looking than the colonial pillars. I think we're right. Wow.
This is nice.
This is very nice.
So he never played in the British, and he won that by 4 strokes. Just whipped everybody. This is a huge deal right here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who has the record for the most U.S. Open wins? Nicklaus has
Nicklaus?
4,
Okay.
and Ben Hogan has 4.
Okay.
How many do you count
I
there?
see 5 there.
They did not have an official U.S. Open in 1942 during the war. They had something that they called the Hail America Open that was the exact same qualifying, and he won that.
Wow.
And Dan Jenkins says he has 5 U.S. Opens.
Wow. Christo, we should get a picture just like this. Yeah, this is the one right here. That's the money shot.
Greatest professional golfer of all time. Dude, check out the
I know.
extra spike.
The spike. Right.
I totally get why you need that. You know, he's got plenty of green jackets and plenty of these plaid jackets, so I think that's good there.
Yep.
After visiting Hogan's Alley, Christo and Colby headed to Mr. Hogan's hometown, Dublin, Texas.
I really wanted to see where Mr. Hogan grew up and learn more about his life before he took up the game of golf. So I hear there's a mural around the corner here of Mr. Hogan.
They said it was at the pharmacy, and we're here, so I'm hoping we're in the right spot. Hey, we are in the right spot. That is awesome. Oh my gosh. Look at Valerie. She looks great.
It's too bad the tournament got rained out. I'm psyched to go to the Ben Hogan Museum.
I am too, man. Hopefully we'll find some cool stuff in here, I think.
That we will.
Hi, I'm Karen Wright. I'm director of the Ben Hogan Museum of Dublin, Texas. When Mr. Hogan was a little boy, he hung out with his dad and his granddad at the Hogan blacksmith shop. And his toys were literally the tools of blacksmithing. That became very important when he started the Ben Hogan Company, because he walked in and on day one, he understood metal. Because he had been involved with blacksmithing, he understood forging. And of course, arguably, he created the finest forged clubs ever made. This award was not presented to the professional golfer of the year. It was presented to the professional athlete of the year. Now keep in mind, this is 3 years after the car wreck, and only 3 golfers have ever won the Hickok Award.
Trevino won the Hickok Award. Mr. Hogan won the Hickok
Jack
Award.
Nicklaus. If that accident had happened almost anywhere else on that highway, but they were on a bridge, he knew what was going to happen, and there wasn't anything he could do about it. Had he not had that awareness and presence of mind to throw himself out of the way, the initial stories that went out saying he'd been killed would have probably been true.
I have been considering making a trip to try and find that bridge. Do you think it's known where that happened?
I don't know. I certainly couldn't help you. But Valerie said we chose not to tell Ben what the doctor said, which was that he might not ever walk again. And the idea of playing golf was remote. We chose not to tell Ben then. Well, his heart was back in the game, for sure. And right after that, he's at the U.S. Open, winning against the odds, collapsing on the course and having to be helped back to his feet by spectators. Even at that point, he did not say, I can't do this.
The importance of heroes is that they show us the way. And the greater the adversity, the greater the hero. There is no athlete I can think of that went through anything remotely close to this.
Absolutely. I believe that the man Ben Hogan became was formed on the day his father killed himself. He was closer to his dad than anybody in the world. And he watches his dad walk into a bedroom, he follows him in there, and he sees him kill himself, making a deliberate choice to leave behind that family that loved him so much. In those days, you just toughed it out. Well, maybe that's what Ben Hogan did. He toughed it out every day for the rest of his life.
Hey guys, I am so proud and honored to announce that my swing evolution is now officially being sponsored by the Ben Hogan Golf Company. Can you guys believe it? It's hard to describe what an honor it is to be sponsored by the company that bears Mr. Hogan's name.
Christo, welcome. Welcome to Fort Worth and to Ben Hogan. Hi, I'm Terry Kaler. I'm the president and CEO of the new Ben Hogan Golf Equipment Company, and quite an honor to be able to do this. My father played golf with Mr. Hogan before the war, and I grew up with Ben Hogan wit and wisdom as part of my golf education.
Well, this is terribly exciting.
So Christo, Kevin McCarthy is our customer care supervisor.
How are you, sir?
Christo Garcia is doing a documentary on Ben Hogan, and we're a big part of that. And Christo, as you well know, has famously rebuilt his golf swing based on 5 lessons. And so I'm going to let Kevin take you all downstairs for a little while and take you on a tour, and then we'll come back and I'll join you downstairs.
But let's start with down here. We'll go down and start and see how clubs are built step by step.
I love it. Okay.
What happens is they bring the shafts out here, okay, and then we'll put whatever grip that you want on here, and then the folks here will start pulling heads. So, for example, this is the Fort Worth 15 20-degree bin. So if you're ordering contained or included a 20-degree club, then they would pull a head out, okay?
Wow, that is a pretty club head. Are these all custom clubs, essentially?
These are all
for
custom
customers?
Yes, they are. Some advanced golfers are very cognizant of their specs, detailed specs, and they'll say, I want my clubs to all be, D1 or D2 or whatever. Then we'll make sure before it goes any further that we've lined that out to the precise swing length. Mm-hmm. And what Josh is doing here is he's checking loft and lie on this. This is a Mitchell, called a Mitchell machine, but it's a digital Mitchell, okay? And if it isn't quite right, he literally is going to bend. These are forged clubs, so they react very easily and very well to bending and adjusting like this. So he will adjust the loft if needed, or the lie angle to a very precise, usually within 1/4 of a degree.
So Josh, how likely is it that you actually bent my clubs for me? I got them about, my niece said about 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
That's pretty likely.
All right, man. They're awesome.
Looking at this club from behind, the grip, the logo, and the shaft label are down. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Mr. Hogan and most professional golfers to this day, typically they like to look down at a nice clean look. So this is the new tour bags in the traditional Ben Hogan, red, white, and blue motif with the sunburst.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just gorgeous.
I think you'll find this of interest. This is something that our team down here put together. There's a sample club head from 1953 on, which is when the year that Mr. Hogan started the company.
Basically, these blade models are what is still being made today by most people, right?
In one form or another, exactly.
So what have we got here?
So this is our indoor fitting center. This is actually a prototype of the cavity back.
Of the PTX?
Of the PTX, exactly. So we just use it as something to get metrics off of.
I'm dead cold, but I just... It feels pretty good.
It does. It'll launch the ball higher than your FWs. A little bit more forgiving. Okay, just slighter. If you look at it, just slighter, thicker top line, just a skosh more.
Just a little. Is the
offset.
CG just a little lower?
It's a little lower. If it gives you that, helps you get that ball in the air. And the nice thing is what's under the covers is what really makes this club amazing. Christo Garcia, Steve Dreyer.
Steve Dreyer. Steve, how are you, sir?
Good. Pleasure to
It is
meet
an
you.
honor to make your acquaintance.
Steve Dreyer started working for the Hogan Company in 1982, and he oversaw the company at its peak of production.
Did you ever grab his grip?
No, sir.
But we were talking about
this
the...
was made for Mr. Hogan, okay? Now just close your eyes.
Oh my gosh,
Close
I'm
your eyes,
actually going to hold one of Mr. Hogan's golf
because this
clubs.
has got a rib, and now just put the rib in your fingers on how Mr. Hogan, you can feel the rib, okay? And you can see it's open, okay? Now that's a little bit more normal, but Mr. Hogan set his grip at about 530 because, as you know, he fought going left. But everything he set at about 530.
It looks wide open.
Right,
To my eye, it looks like it's wide open. Wow. Barbara, it's an honor to make your acquaintance.
Barbara Coates has been with the Hogan Company since the early 1970s, and I'll tell you, she's an absolute joy to interact with.
You know, he loved Chris Cheddar, and she was a local girl here, and so when she started playing, she'd come by and I'd give her gloves or putters or whatever it was she needed. And so Mr. Hogan knew that I did this, and so he said, "Oh yes, come on in, sit down." And I was in his office like 45 minutes. He gave me a play-by-play of Chris's game the day before. You know, it was almost like he was waiting for somebody to come in there and talk to this, and then I just, great timing. There I was, you know. And everybody's wondering, what is she doing in there so long? What is she doing in there so long? And then I tell people about it, and they say, "You spent 45 minutes with Mr. Hogan?"
I recently had the chance to meet Chris Cheddar in person, and I'm thrilled that she's agreed to be a part of my documentary.
This is my new friend. That's Chris Cheddar.
It sure is. Mr. Hogan adored her.
We're one of 200 chapters of the first tee around the country and the world, but we're the only one that is a keeper of Mr. Hogan's legacy. So our beautiful building behind me is the Ben Hogan Learning Center. We were helped to create that building by the Ben Hogan Foundation and so many others here in the Fort Worth area. Some of the material, the instructional material that he put together once he became a successful golfer, like the 5 modern fundamentals and those things, those become textbooks, and really have been textbooks for hundreds of thousands and millions of golfers about how to go about playing the game. And so that's a big legacy because that spread worldwide. I think Mr. Hogan really would have loved the first tee, the whole concept of life skills, core values, a way of conducting your life in addition to pursuing with guidance, but exploring how to improve in the game of golf. I think those things would have resonated with Mr. Hogan. It's just a great story. I think that his whole story is so applicable to the young people that are growing up today. Starting, he didn't have anything. He kind of came from nothing. He worked hard. He learned to believe in himself through hard work. And to go through that and literally come off a hospital bed and accomplish the things that he accomplished, that's a story of perseverance that you rarely find. And I think that it just shows you, though, that if you have conviction and belief, anything is possible. And that's a message that we really want the young people in the first tee, really all people in our community, to understand that never give up.
Six weeks later, the Ben Hogan Foundation tournament was back on.
the one thing I'll say is it's just a lot more consistent.
Right.
You know, it was always like, I don't know, there's like some days where it's just not working, and now it just works a lot better from the beginning. Hey, Melinda, how are you doing?
Good. You ready for this?
Ready for what?
Well, you've got your brand new bag, clubs, and Vector Hybrid from Ben Hogan Golf Club.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, they're here.
This, oh my gosh! This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
Have a look. Tell me what you think.
What do I think? I think I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. Ah! I approve. Oh my gosh.
First shot, where we hitting it? Dead center.
Not bad. Not bad.
I didn't know coordination was part of this deal.
What do you got?
This is the 38 degree, my 8-iron. And
Like you hit right in the center every time?
just been hitting it great. And it's only been, you know, just a handful of swings, but every one's been so good, I can't even tell you. And today, if I ever felt like Christmas morning as a grown-up, it was today, because I got the best surprise from Melinda. And
oh, yeah?
I just can't thank you enough. My heart has been racing the whole day.
Well, that's great. Well, we're glad to have you working with us and showing off what we're doing here at Ben Hogan.
Whoever shot y'all are playing skips. So like us 4 tee off, we use my tee shot. I don't get to hit the second shot. The other 3 do.
Good, let's go get him! How do you like that?
Retired.
Good putt. Good putt.
Boom, baby.
Good rip. We went birdie, then we had a couple bad holes, and then we birdied everything out. And then on this last hole, which I think was our 8th or 9th hole, I almost made an albatross.
That's a heat seeker at the pin.
Where'd you drive in that, man?
I hit it to the right of that tree. The eyes don't see it.
Well, they haven't come on the green. There's a ball right there, dude. Oh my God, dude! You almost pulled down.
I think we get to pick that up.
I found my ball on a 320-yard hole, 1 foot behind the hole, like it must have rolled right over it. Tapped that in for eagle, and now all of a sudden we're back in the mix. Come on back down. Come on back down.
Let's take it real soon.
I missed it. I thought I missed that.
5 years ago, I started a YouTube channel, and I bought 5 Lessons by Ben Hogan, that little book, and I started working on it. And that first year, I broke 80 14 times, and now I've broken par. And like along the way, I picked up 10 million views, and that's how this whole thing started.
I read it as a kid. I still have a copy of it, and I always go refer. I have a Ben Hogan room in the house. It's got his whole swing, you know. And I look at that swing, I go, do I swing like that? I want to swing like that.
Oh! Whoa! You got that on money? You got that on? Yeah!
I think I need to put my name on here.
Walk it off. 3.5 feet.
3.5 feet. I am so proud of you, man. Look at that!
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Brother,
Absolutely.
it was an honor to meet you and play with all you folks. Gordon, thank you.
Thank
Liz,
you.
it was wonderful. I had so much fun, and we're not done yet.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you.
meeting you.
So cool, man. It was the funnest round of golf I've ever had in my life.
Great.
Good time, man.
After returning to Los Angeles, Christo made plans to visit Chris Cheddar in New York.
Chris Cheddar is a golfer that Mr. Hogan took under his wing and coached her all the way onto the LPGA Tour. Now, she wrote a book called Mr. Hogan, The Man I Knew, and I believe it's one of the greatest stories in the history of golf. Thanks for bringing me out here. This is pretty cool.
Oh, you bet. It's going to be fun. I'm Chris Cheddar. I'm a professional golfer. I played on the LPGA for 24 years. Hi, I'm Chris Cheddar.
To meet you, Ryan.
Ryan, nice to meet you.
Ben.
Ben, nice to meet you. I was fortunate enough to know Mr. Hogan, and he let me get to know a side of him that he didn't let a lot of people see. We laughed a lot. I think that's one of the things that people don't know about him is what a great sense of humor he had. I mean, he was very, very funny. The side that I got to know, I really feel was more the real person. And I think he saw how much I loved golf and that I was practicing and that I wanted to get better. And then one day he was trying to teach me something, and I said, well, let me see you do it. Because I really wanted to see him swing. He finally dropped these 3 balls and he hit just 3 beautiful shots, all of them right up on the green. It just became more and more often that he would stop by, and then he started getting his clubs again. Oh, there it is.
Nice, Chris.
Thank you. It's hard to describe the sound that happened when Mr. Hogan hit a shot. It was so unique. It was so different. I'd never really heard anything like that, and I'm not sure to this day why. Then another time that sticks out in my mind was he was hitting drivers, and it was the same thing. Like all of them were the same distance, probably within like 15 to 20 feet distance-wise. You know, very consistent. I've never seen anyone to this day who can hit drivers and hit them the same distance, the same direction. That was crazy. I asked Mr. Hogan one time if he hit the ball as well after his accident, and he said, not even close. I think people have no idea the extent of his injuries after that accident. My first year on tour, I was really struggling with shoulder problems, and I was talking to him about it, and he took my hand and he put it on his shoulder, and he wanted to tell me that, look, you can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it. But when I touched his shoulder, it was like it wasn't in the socket. It was like all bone here, and his shoulder felt like it was hanging down below it.
You know, as I've dug into this research for this documentary, I've come to the conclusion that he gave back more to the game than anybody. And in fact, he said in an interview, I'd like to give back much more than I've subtracted.
I hear people say that they don't feel like Mr. Hogan gave back to the game, and I'm always so shocked by that, because he gave back to the game in so many ways, starting with the clubs that he made that were better than anything that was out there. And then I think about the 5 fundamentals and power golf that he wrote, you know, that told everybody is what he knew about the game. He took the time to really record exactly what he did in his golf swing. I think it's the gold standard. So, I mean, I think he gave back a lot.
Get on it, get on it. Oh yeah. Get on it, baby. That little dancer.
Oh, right there. Yeah, I was out practicing, and there was a major tournament going on. I can't even remember which one it was. But I said, well, why aren't you in watching the tournament? And he just said, oh, I've had my career. Now I'm enjoying watching yours.
Ben, are you a fan of the Hogan swing?
I'm a big fan, yeah. Watched that swing a lot of times.
I love that young people like you guys are, you know, appreciate Mr. Hogan and his swing and just even have knowledge of it. In 1991, the U.S. Open was at Colonial, and I just have talked to Mr. Hogan a lot about the course and playing out there, and we would just have this banter back and forth. And I would say, oh, you're going to come out to the tournament? And he'd go, oh, yeah, I wouldn't miss it. But I really didn't think he would come out to the tournament. So on Saturday, I shot the low 18-hole round for a U.S. Open. It was the record for low 18 holes. And got myself in position. I think I was in like 5th place, just a couple shots out of the lead. So I went into Sunday really with a chance to win. I found this out later, that he was not planning on coming out because he didn't want to take anything away from me if I won. And he knew that by him being there, you know, there was a chance that the spotlight would be taken away from me. So I went out and played all right on the front 9, and then I think I made a double bogey on about 11 or 12. And when that happened, and Meg Mallon was going the other direction, so it was pretty obvious that I wasn't going to win. And then I started not playing well on the back 9, and that's when he decided that he was going to come out. After I made the double bogey, I guess he turned to his wife and said, you know, I've got to go out there. And she tried to talk him out of it because it was hot and there were big crowds, and you know, she just knew what he would encounter out there, but he was determined. He just felt like he wanted to be there for me on a bad day, even though it was going to probably be a little bit crazy. And so he came out. I was on, probably when he got there, I was probably on about 15, and then he waited on 16, and when I came off the green, I saw him. And I went over and I gave him a hug, and I was, oh, I'm so glad you're here, you know. And then I walked to the 17th tee, and my dad was trying to tell the caddy who was in our group, he's like, that's Ben Hogan over there. And the guy wouldn't believe him because he was wearing just a regular hat, and he had his glasses on, and you know, nobody really knew what he looked like at the time. He didn't have on his white cap. He had on a kind of a straw hat. Nobody really knew he was there until I think after I finished, and he was standing waiting for me to come out of the scoring tent, and then people started kind of figuring it out. So when I came out of the scoring tent, you know, I went over and I was talking to him, and then people were really starting to catch on, and that's when his wife was like, oh, you know, we gotta go, and she kind of whisked him off, and that was that.
Sadly, before heading to Florida, Christo got word that the Ben Hogan Golf Equipment Company was going out of business. The margins are razor thin in the premium golf club market, and hopefully this isn't the last we've seen of the Ben Hogan brand. Christo's original budget was stretched thin at this point, and he spent the next few months focused on a new instructional documentary, My Driving Evolution.
Yep. Good shot. That's it. Bye-bye, ball.
As we all know, Mr. Hogan named his famous clubs apexes. And the reason why was he figured out that he wanted all of his golf balls to apex at approximately the same height, 90 feet. So he's hitting his short irons, mid irons, and long irons so they all apex at 90 feet. Okay, that helped him control his distances. And I learned he figured that out by hitting balls along a row of tall trees down at Seminole. So it's my mission to go down there and find that range. This is a little kooky. They were waiting for me. They knew who I was at the guard gate and they let me in. Oh my God. So he told me to go all the way down to the left. I'm so excited.
The Seminole Golf Club was established by E.F. Hutton, who started the club in 1929. The course was designed by Donald Ross. This is my office, Seminole Golf Club. Mr. Hogan was someone I met in 1982 when I first started working at Seminole. I used to serve him his drinks, his martinis, as he used to watch golf or football. And he was a very intimidating man for a 19-year-old. But also I knew who he was and respected him. He was a man of very few words. Mr. Hogan would order a vodka martini straight up with a twist of lemon. He used to sit in the chair right here and face the TV, and he would look out this window to the 18th hole and look for the Colemans, Dawn and George, to finish their round. I mean, I can't imagine playing golf against him. He would probably intimidate you to the point where, you know, he's going to beat you. I will tell you, there was a caddy named Eli Brown. He used to shag balls for Ben Hogan. And Eli said he would go out in the back of the range and he'd put his knees down on a towel, and he would never have to move more than an arm's length, left or right, to catch the balls to shag them. That's how good he hit it.
Hey guys, so I just heard the funniest story that when Ben Hogan would have a bet, say a $2 Nassau, he would never give them cash. He'd always write a check. And the funniest thing is, in those rare occasions when Ben Hogan ever lost a bet, those folks would never cash the check, because why would you? You have a check written to you by Ben Hogan. Isn't that cool?
This is Ben Hogan's locker right here, number 50.
It seems that the members here can play some golf.
Most of the guys here got a single-digit handicap. The amateur professional tournament started in 1937. This tournament and a PGA will have another tournament at the same time. All the good pros will come here because it was paying more money at the time. In 1961, the PGA said you can't have this anymore because you're taking all our good pros. In 2004, Mr. Neal brought it back. But this time, it was no money involved in it. It was no money involved in it. It was just the prestigious of getting on this board.
The craziest thing is when I got to Seminole, I went to the driving range and all I could see was a few palm trees scattered around. I'm like, that doesn't look like the story I heard about Seminole at all. So I started asking around to see if anybody knew where Mr. Hogan hit golf balls. I understand that you actually knew Mr. Hogan?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell me what he was like?
He was all right. He was a pretty nice guy. And the thing about him, he used to get back in the wood back there. He didn't want nobody to see him practice. And that cap fit him.
I don't know exactly where he was hidden, but I know that was his range. That's all. That's all I know. I know they call that Ben Hogan's range.
It turns out that the trees along the entrance to Seminole were the ones that Mr. Hogan hit golf balls next to. So that's how he figured out his ball flight.
Well, I think Ben Hogan obviously has to go down as one of the greatest golfers ever played, but his grit and determination, all the young people in golf today should learn from that.
I found out that Chris was going to be playing in a tournament at the World Golf Hall of Fame in Village, so I decided to make a trip up to St. Augustine, Florida. What do you think we're going to see?
I don't know.
You really don't know?
I don't.
Well, what do you have set up here, Travis?
Kind of a collection of items that span his career.
It's just so kooky. Oh my goodness gracious, Ben Hogan's secret. This is unbelievable.
So this came out, and then after that came the rumor that he had another secret.
Oh, you'll have to explain that a little bit better, Chris.
Well, so this magazine came out, and he's going to tell his secret. I think that it started because he said he was going to write another article.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were like, oh, he's got a secret. And then, like everything, it snowballed, whatever. But he told me that he was going to write an article. The left hand is the steering wheel, and the right hand is the gas.
Well, we know from Life magazine that Ben Hogan said that his secret had to do with his cupped left wrist at the top of the backswing. But Chris is telling me that there's another secret. Now I'm wondering, how much more is there to the secret that I don't know?
After visiting with Chris, Christo was given a personal tour of the World Golf Hall of Fame and Museum by the Director of Communications, Dave Cordero.
So this putting green is representative of 3 key putts in the history of golf: a Ryder Cup putt, a President's Cup putt, and a Solheim Cup putt. The furthest putt that you can take on is this 25-foot putt that Fred Couples had to make in 1996 for the U.S. team to retain the President's Cup. And so we're going to see if you can...
I'll give it a shot. Oh, first one. Next.
One of the 1974 inductees, someone who I would refer to as the Babe Ruth of golf, is Ben Hogan. And Mr. Hogan is somebody that's he has this folklore about him, whether you're a golfer, a teacher, an equipment maker, someone who enjoys fashion. I mean, Ben Hogan is the guy. So we're very proud to celebrate his legacy here at the World Golf Hall of Fame. When you talk about Ben Hogan, he is on top of the Mount Rushmore of golf. Other golfers that I would say have this similar influence would be Arnold Palmer. Jack Nicklaus continues to make a huge impact. There's really not too many golfers after that. It's a very, very short list when you're talking about influencers. Ben Hogan is in that elite class. Mr. Hogan felt so privileged to be playing golf, and he felt like there was an obligation that he needed to look his best. So he would wear the finest cashmeres. He would look probably the best in his foursome, and who could forget the hat that he would wear? It's a look that has carried on to today's golf. He had this tenacity about him. For him to not only walk, not only continue to play golf, but to win a major after that accident, it's really the stuff legends are made of, which is why he has such a permanent place here in the World Golf Hall of Fame and Museum.
So I'm on my way to Grand Cypress right now to meet with a sports psychology consultant to find out how Ben Hogan became Mr. Hogan.
I do work with professional athletes, golfers on every major tour in the whole world, and I also do work with our military.
Let's do this. All right, we'll get on the eye tracker.
Simply put, I work to help people gain higher levels of expertise in sport. The training that I provide is more based in development of expertise through training visual perception. So how the eyes are trained has a huge impact on your mind and what your mind does. To be an expert, there's 5 areas you have to train. Physical skills, technical skills, tactical skills, emotional skills, and the last, my area, perceptual skills. So when I'm training the eyes to do the correct thing for you, the benefit happens immediately because the mind has no choice but to follow those new signals.
I don't know what to say. This is incredible. Basically, what I learned from Dr. Caserta is you can't get in the zone unless your subconscious mind is free from doubt. You can't fake it. So Mr. Hogan, once he learned his secret, he could play fearless golf.
So many have now maybe heard of the theory or the rule of 10 years or 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, and then you'll be an expert. And really, all of the research I had done in my graduate school training had seriously looked into that area of the research. And I learned a lot of things that make, in my mind, Mr. Hogan the perfect example of how deliberate practice, when done correctly, can get you to a very high level of expertise. But for most people, when they've read these books and heard this concept of deliberate practice, they just think, okay, well, sure, I can just go out and have 10,000 hours of experience. That experience alone, I'll wake up every day, I'll hit balls, I'll play 36 holes every day, and that experience alone will be enough. And that's where it's somewhat misunderstood. It's not just about the experience. The deliberate practice has to, 1, target a specific ability. I think of Mr. Hogan's comment that I try to hit it on the 3rd groove. But I think if you want to swing as good as Mr. Hogan, you probably need to get to that level of being specific in what abilities you're targeting.
Dr. Caserta wanted me to meet a friend of his that's a PGA golf professional with some very deep thoughts about Mr. Hogan's golf swing. So next we headed over to Reunion Resort.
The anatomy only works a very specific way, and I happen to learn a lot about the anatomy through the Egoscue method. Pete Egoscue is a world-renowned anatomical realignment specialist.
The secret is something that everyone has tried to figure out at some point. We've all done an extended amount of research, and I can tell you it's taken me decades to really believe I have figured out what it was that made him, and not only him, but other great players, other great ball strikers able to do what they did.
When you go into the backswing, you want to make sure that the sticks remain parallel.
I wanted to know not only what did Mr. Hogan do, but what did Jack Nicklaus do, and what did Arnold Palmer do, and what did Lee Trevino do, and what did the great ball strikers do? What did they all do the same?
So as they go through, they also need to remain parallel.
That led me down the path of trying to figure out, okay, what does the skeleton do in the golf swing? And how is it that Mr. Hogan did what he did? Well, it turns out it was in the left hip, and it's in his book on page 45. And if you look at that book, there's a dot on the left hip. So for Mr. Hogan, I believed he thought the center of the golf swing, which makes sense to me, is really based off of the left hip. That's the hinge of the door.
When you have this fully wide open, you can turn farther. And now when you come back into the downswing, you just make sure you stay here. Done. There's your hip problem fixed.
If the left hip is out of place in the backswing or in the takeaway, and in the downswing, then it can't. You just lose the time and space you need to make a good golf swing.
So you've known it. You know it in martial arts. Now you're ready to swing the golf club. Okay.
What's happening is the right side's moving back and it's exposing the left. And now the hip is in a great position. That's why the modern swing has been so detrimental to so many golfers, because they're trying to keep their feet planted and they're not nearly flexible enough to get into this position and make a full turn. So they have to move this hip out. And now they've just destroyed any chance of making a good downswing.
So I was having so much fun with Ryan and Matt, we decided to all get together to put on a clinic, and it was fantastic. But while I was gone, I found out that my house in LA had a terrible accident. A pipe burst on the second floor and it flooded the entire house. So everything had to be ripped out, and I didn't have a place to go back to in LA. So I had to figure something out quick.
Christo hit the road on one last trip to try and complete his film.
All right, I packed up the car. I'm headed to Van Horn, Texas. I'm about 95 miles away. I am really excited to try and get to the bottom of this and try and find out where Mr. Hogan had his accident. So while I was doing my research, I learned that Mr. Hogan stayed in the El Capitan Hotel the night before he had his accident. But the hotel had closed in 1961. Now, while I'm driving to Van Horn, Texas, I saw a billboard for the El Capitan Hotel. Could this be the same hotel?
I'm Vicki Jones. I'm the general manager of the El Capitan Hotel in Van Horn, Texas.
The El Capitan Hotel is absolutely gorgeous, but it has this spooky kind of feeling when you walk through it, like you're walking back in time. This is the coffee shop where Mr. Hogan had his breakfast before he headed out on the road with his wife Valerie. And you can see the original sign that Mr. Hogan certainly laid his eyes on for the El Capitan Hotel. I'm sure he probably sprung for the 250 room.
Well, on the evening of February 1st, 1949, Ben Hogan and his wife Valerie stayed in this hotel. They dined with us, they had breakfast with us and coffee, and then they left on their trip on February 2nd, 1949. About 10 miles east of Van Horn on Highway 80, Ben Hogan and his wife were involved in a very serious car accident.
Hey guys, so I haven't been able to find anybody that can tell me exactly where Mr. Hogan's accident was. So I've got my speedometer set and begin to look for someplace that could have possibly been the location of Mr. Hogan's accident. And I'm going to turn my spidey senses up to full blast. So I should get a good tingle when I'm in the neighborhood. This is the approximate location where Mr. Hogan and his wife Valerie had that terrible accident in 1949. Thankfully for us, Mr. Hogan was able to persevere, and he carried on and showed us what it takes to be a champion. When I got back to Texas, I really didn't have anything on my schedule to film, so I reached out to one of my subscribers, Seth. He suggested I could try and get in touch with Jody Vasquez or maybe Marty Leonard, and then the very next day I got a call from Marty and we had a meeting set up.
My father was a merchant, and he worked hard, and he built the store and ended up covering 7 city blocks and a lot of other things, so it was a big deal. But he worked so hard that the doctor told him he was having some health issues, and the doctor said, I think you need to do something about your health, maybe get some exercise. So he ended up taking up golf at Glen Garden, and so he played out there a lot, and that's where he met Ben Hogan. He caddied for my dad in the early years, and so that was the beginning of their relationship. Most interesting part of the relationship, my father and Hogan, would be that he backed him on the tour. But so he supported him. Ben would have made it on his own no matter what. Whether he had my dad's support or anybody else's support, and I'm sure he got other people's help as well, but I have evidence of that one for sure.
When you think about your father's contribution, with Colonial and Shady Oaks,
well, as I say, the bug bit him. The golf bug bit him for sure. Of course, he loved to play too, and he was a pretty decent golfer. Mm-hmm. There it is.
All right.
Power golf. And in it, an inscription that he gave to my father, and it says to Marvin Leonard, the best friend I will ever have. Had my father lived, I would have wanted him to be just like you. My very best wishes for health and happiness to you and your family. Always gratefully, Ben Hogan. There was enough age difference that Hogan could have been his son in a way, and he didn't have any sons. But they were father-son relationship as well as friend, because they were very good friends and close. And Daddy, of course, helped him during when he was doing his club business.
Had it not been for Marty Leonard's father, we might not have ever even heard of Ben Hogan. One of the things that I find absolutely fascinating is we know that Mr. Hogan was one of the greatest competitors in the game of golf.
No question.
But he's one of the most important club makers as well.
I agree. He was like his golf clubs, like he was about his own golf game. Very precise. Of course, he worked hard at everything too. You know, it didn't come naturally to him. His golf game didn't come. His golf swing did, you know. And that's the reason he was so good, because it didn't come easy for him, I think, as it does some of these golfers nowadays.
What is the story of Shady Oaks and how Mr. Hogan came to spend his last days there?
Well, my dad built Shady Oaks and opened it in 58, and that's just where he spent his time.
I have heard that Mr. Hogan had a good sense of humor, and a lot of people didn't get to see that.
He definitely had a good sense of humor, and I witnessed it. You know, he could joke with the best of, you know. He was easy to be around a lot of times. If he was in that frame of mind, if he wasn't concentrating on his golf or something that he needed to concentrate on, he'd be very, very, very personable. He knew how to do some other things. I'll tell you what he really was good at is dancing. Believe it or not, he was a very good dancer. Now, I think he had to learn it just like he did his golf. You know, he worked at it. But I think I danced with him maybe one time, but I don't have any pictures of that. I wish I did, but he was a pretty smooth dancer. He really was good at that.
Is it true that when Colonial comes up that you drive up in a black Cadillac that Mr. Hogan owned?
I do, every year. I certainly do. The inside of it's so pretty too.
Oh my gosh, this is just beautiful.
Isn't it though?
And
yeah.
you know, and it's just very classy. It's what I would expect Mr. Hogan to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's typical of what he was like, I guess, you might say.
Marty invited me to take a ride in Ben Hogan's Cadillac. How cool is this? And here we go. This is so fun. This is the longest car I've seen in quite a while. Did you ever feel that he was like an uncle or an older brother? Or...
To me?
Yes.
No, he was an idol. For me,
right.
You know.
Guys, I'm here at Leonard Links, and I get an email on my phone, Ben Hogan shoot. And I'm like, okay, what is this? Is this for my schedule later today? And I'm wondering who this is because I don't recognize the name. This is from the Golf Channel. Hi, I'm a production assistant from the Golf Channel. We're filming at Shady Oaks next week. We would like to know if you would be interested in swinging as Ben Hogan for some silhouette shots. Thursday would be the ideal day for us if you're able to make it. We would pay for your flight and hotel, ideally fly you out Wednesday evening with a return flight on Friday. Well, it happens to be I'm already here, so oh my gosh. So apparently I've got to get some clothes and clubs, and I'm going to be playing Ben Hogan in the new Ben Hogan documentary for the Golf Channel. I can't believe it. I don't even understand what's happening. Thank you, Lord. Well, it's pretty sad to see what's happened at Glen Garden Country Club because this is where Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson started their golf careers. It's amazing. Yeah, I just want to check it out. Here are the famous members that learned how to play golf here. Byron Nelson, Ben Hogan, and Sandra Palmer. It's so crazy because it looks like it's still being mowed. It looks like I could tee up a golf ball and go play here. This is bizarre. always like to think about the fact that Mr. Hogan might have been hanging out in this caddy shack waiting to grab someone's golf bag. And this could have very likely been the place where Ben Hogan met Marvin Leonard, who would take him under his wing and end up helping Mr. Hogan join the tour, Colonial Country Club, and then in his final days, Shady Oaks. But it all started right here. It's too bad I never got to play a round of golf here, but it's still just so fascinating that this is where it all began. I guess those are the new owners over there. There's a lot of construction going on. And this is the 18th green. This looks like a fun course. I wish I could have played it once. So at the end of the day, we're packing up our trucks, and I tell my director of photography that I forgot a camera battery at Leonard Links when I was talking to Marty Leonard. Well, a guy's walking by with his dog and says, "Hey, you looking for someplace to hit golf balls around here?" And I tell him, "No, we're filming something, yada, yada, yada." And then he tells me, "You ought to speak to Jody Vasquez." I'm like, "I'd love to, but I can't figure out how to get in touch with him." He tells me, "I'll give you his phone number." This is so cool.
I'm going to start you here and then we'll come around this way. I'm Jody Vasquez. I had the privilege of meeting Ben Hogan when I was 16 and was around him until the end of his life. He's a funny guy. A lot of the conversations that I had with him were, just fun things that he'd talk about. I shagged balls for him for about 4 years, so I interacted with him almost daily through the week when he was practicing. I generally was around him for about 2.5 to 3 hours, about 5 days a week. So Fowler's all excited, so he leans across the table, and the first question he asks Mr. Hogan, he says, "How do you win the US Open?" Hogan comes back and says, "You shoot the lowest score." Now, all of us started laughing because we thought he was kind of joking, and then he looked at Nick, and he goes like, "If you shoot the lowest score, they'll give you the medal. I've got 5 of them." And so very rarely would you hear him talk about the fact that he had won 5 medals. We were coming back from a practice session, and I asked him why he had hit so many sand wedges. Because, he'd normally hit a reasonable number of shots with certain clubs, and then you'd kind of move on. And he said when he was hitting the sand wedge, he said he couldn't really get the feel that he wanted out of the sand wedge. He couldn't hit it to what he thought was exactly what he wanted. And I just replied to him. Now understand, I'm 17, 18 years old, and I just replied to him back. I said, "Heck, if I do that, I'll never get off the sand wedge." And he stopped the cart, and we were almost at the 18th green, right in front of the clubhouse at Shady Oaks. And he looked over at me, and I went like, "Oops, that was not the right thing to say for some reason." And so what he said to me, he says, well, why would you want to? Why would you want to leave something you haven't accomplished and move on to something else?
After getting a tour of all of Jody's Ben Hogan memorabilia, he took me back to his workstation where we would talk about Ben Hogan's golf swing.
What he was doing in his swing was to achieve balance. So the combination of how he held his wrist, how he worked with his lower body and his legs, was what he was doing to achieve balance on the transition. Because what he wanted to do was to be able to be in perfect balance here, so that as he went down to the lever of the club, it was on plane and he could control the face angle. So that was to him the important part in striking the golf ball, is to be in balance. In every athletic endeavor, doesn't matter what you're doing, balance is the most important thing that you have to accomplish in order to perform properly. And he's probably the greatest proponent of balance, either stated or otherwise. Go ahead and keep your leg bent, and now start to move back away from the ball and cup your wrist. You can see how your position of balance is so strong. Yeah, so your body stays in instead of coming out. Like you can pull your wrist this way and you'll feel your body fall forward.
Yes.
Okay, so what he did is he found a position with his wrist by cupping it here and keeping the knee flexed that allowed him then to transfer the swing so that he could unfold. And what he said he did with his right knee is his concept of delivering the club was to run at the ball with his right knee.
He literally just explained Ben Hogan's secret to me. I am absolutely losing my mind. I can hardly even contain myself, but this is one of the coolest things that's ever happened in my whole life.
His concept was to throw the right knee at the ball, and that then allowed his body to move into the ball and square and stay on plane. Why he actually decided at that point in time to share what he told me, I have no idea. Would not have thought that he would have thought it important to say that to me. I mean, I was a teenage kid, so why is it important to tell me this? But I don't know.
What sticks out in your mind the most?
Can you see his right knee? Watch how he accelerates it in through the ball.
Yeah!
He could have introduced, more of I'll control the club face with my hands concept. But then as he got to that level and became very stable in his golf swing, he clearly did it with his body, and his hands weren't as dominant in what he was focusing on.
I had one last piece of business on my mind before I played Mr. Hogan. And Marty Leonard was kind enough to introduce me to the minister that delivered the funeral service for Mr. Hogan. So I felt I needed to pay my respects.
Ben did not remember his early baptism. Following his recovery from the accident, Ben heard a sermon in 1951 by his pastor, Granville Walker, entitled "Heaven Won't Wait." He decided that argument had merit and began to consider being baptized as an adult. It was a tough decision for him, so he went to Valerie for her wise counsel. She said, "Ben, if God had taken as long as you are taking to make up your mind, you wouldn't be alive today." He was baptized by Dr. Walker shortly thereafter. Many people may not be aware that Ben and Valerie Hogan created an endowment for University Christian Church in the amount of $1 billion.
That really speaks to their generosity.
Yes, it does. Yes. He was born William Benjamin Hogan in Dublin, Texas, the son of a blacksmith, Chester Hogan, and his wife, Clara. At the age of 9, Ben experienced his father's self-inflicted death. Shortly after, Clara moved the family to Fort Worth, and Ben discovered golf as a caddy at Glen Garden Country Club. I believe with all of my heart that God grieves with us when life takes tragic, unexpected turns, and that God's love binds up our wounded souls and calls us into the future with all of the hope and promise that makes life worth living once again. And so we gather here to give thanks for the life of Ben Hogan, to affirm that he lived fully and well. Our lives have touched in significant ways, and for that we are deeply grateful. And we are here to witness that what we have learned from this good and gentle man.
It's such a strange feeling to be here. It's kind of the alpha and the omega. I've done the whole trip. I took this journey, and it's as if something has just lured me all the way here, and I just hope that Mr. Hogan's story can continue to inspire people as his story has inspired me.
Suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces character. Character produces hope. And hope does not disappoint us because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. Now we join Valerie and her family in continuing our journey through grief to the hope and promise that reside on the other side of our sorrow.
Hey guys, I'm putting the finishing touches on my golf shoes. I got to get rid of these yellow bottoms if I'm going to really do my best Ben Hogan impersonation. But I've been working really hard on my golf swing, and I hope tomorrow's going to be a great day. All right. That's looking pretty good right there. Well, this is it. It's 5:30 in the morning and I'm headed to Shady Oaks for the very first time. I didn't know if I'd even be able to get in there, and today I'm going to play Ben Hogan. We just shot some crazy silhouette shots right under the Hogan tree here. And sitting under that tree, and I was hitting golf balls, and it's just like, I can't believe this is going down. I mean, it's just unbelievable. This golf course is just so beautiful. I really feel like the luckiest golfer that ever lived. This is the coolest thing of all time. So we're gonna be shooting out here all day, and I hope it's gonna be a really, really awesome show. Okay, so I am driving Ben Hogan's Cadillac right now down Ben Hogan Drive. This is a little crazy and I don't understand what's happening, but somehow I've been blessed with the craziest life right now, and you know what? I'm just gonna keep living it because it's awesome.
As amazing as Christo's visit to Shady Oaks is, our story is far from over. Christo had been summoned to Florida, and his life would never be the same.
In order for me to do another shoot down in Florida, I had to raise some more money. So I decided to put on one last clinic in Texas before I hit the road. While we were standing on the driving range, I remember feeling a cold rush of air hit me, and it looked like it was about to start pouring rain. But I knew I had to hit the road if I was going to make it to Florida in time to do this last segment. This looks like a pretty bad storm that I'm rolling up into. I heard on the radio that some tornadoes had begun to touch down, but I mean, I have to make it to Florida in time to get this last segment for my film. You know, I don't know how far I'm going to be able to make it tonight, but I'm going to do the best that I can. But this is starting to look a little bit scary. I've got almost my whole movie is finished in my, you know, I've got 2 hard drives. I got one hard drive backing up the other hard drive. Looks like even the birds are trying to get out of Dodge. I'm so close. It's, you know, God, I gotta be extra careful here. So I'm driving down the road and my GPS tells me there's an object in the road ahead, and you can hardly see because the rain is coming down so hard. And all of a sudden there's this big branch in the road, and I'm like, I swerved around it and I'm like, wow, that is just crazy. Then out of the blue, all of a sudden I see there's an entire tree blocking my lane. And so I swerved at the last second into the opposite lane, praying there's no oncoming traffic. And luckily I made it around that tree, and then hail started to come down, hitting my car, and I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna have to get off the road now.
As the storm continued, suddenly the lights went out. Everyone stared out the windows, hoping a tornado was not headed their way. All total, 9 tornadoes touched down in Texas that day, leaving a wake of devastation that is hard to comprehend.
Getting to meet Chichi Rodriguez is about the coolest thing ever. And it's crazy because I almost feel like we're old friends.
I'm only 81. I'm going to live to be 120.
Yeah. Mr. Rodriguez.
Chichi.
Chichi, such a pleasure to meet you. And you have a special guest with us today.
GT they call him, but I call him the little bear.
Little bear.
He's 14 years old. He's 6'1", and he might become the next Jack Nicklaus, and because well, I'm teaching him a little bit.
If Jack in his prime played today's golf ball and driver, he'd hit it 400 yards, I imagine.
I tell you what, if Jack was playing with the equipment that we play now when he was young, we would have to let him play through. You won't be safe on any green.
Are there similarities between the baseball swing and the golf swing?
It's the same thing. Same thing.
Just on a different plane?
Yeah.
Like...
All that stuff that these new inventors, these guys that teach. I got to tell you the way I met Ben Hogan. We played at the Carling World Championship in Oakland Hills. I never forget that day because him and Jerry Barber, I'm paired with them, and they're both on the tee, kind of waiting for me. And I walked up there and I looked at him and very respectful. I said, "Mr. Hogan, I'm Chichi Rodriguez." He said, "I heard about you." And I said, "Mr. Hogan, I know you have a handicap. You have a bad knee. And I'm asking the permission from you to fix your ball marks." And he said, "Gee, I really appreciate that." And he liked me after that. You know, when I shook his hand, I thought I was shaking the hands of a carpenter, because this man had calluses that you can't believe. He probably hit 1,000 balls every day to become as great as he was. And one of the biggest thrills of my life was that I played with him maybe 8 tournaments. And in Fort Worth we played, and that day I hit 18 greens, and I hit it within 10 feet, maybe 10 times. And Bob Colby came to me after the round. He was our third player. He says, "You know what Ben Hogan said about you?" I said, "What did he say?" He said, "That little man can really play some golf." I played all those tournaments with him, and I tell you what, if Ben Hogan would have putted well, he would have shot in the mid-50s every day. You never saw anything. He was like Michelangelo and Da Vinci. You know, he was an artist with the golf clubs. I never saw anybody like that. All of us young guys used to come just to hear him talk. And he always dressed so beautiful. You know, he always wore gray, light gray, and dark blue. And then everybody wanted to look like him, like you trying to look like him. You know Ben Hogan.
That's so true.
You know Tiger Woods
I'm
either.
a very poor imitation.
It is so much fun hanging out with Chichi Rodriguez, but can you believe that GT's grandfather came out to hang out with us too? This is a pretty special day.
Christo's boyhood idol Jack Nicklaus was a friend of Mr. Hogan and knew his game very well.
As a golfer, you've had a tremendous influence over my life. I remember all the majors from the 70s through your 86 Masters win that is the most...
Well, you missed a lot of them.
Well, unfortunately...
You're not that old.
My entire golf channel is about the classic golf swing. What are your opinions about the modern swing versus the way you were taught the game?
Well, I think it's, it's what they do today. Do I like it? No. I think it's harder on the body. Today they take the legs out of the swing a lot. Ben Hogan was a flowing motion. It was all from creating leverage by playing from the ground up and the feet starting the downswing and moving through it. And that's the way I was taught, that's the way I played. Today, the equipment has allowed them to do different things. And I don't think you have to be quite as athletic today to play golf as you did then. But I think if you add athleticism to what you're doing, I think you'll be better players.
Wow. Do you remember the first time you met Mr. Hogan?
Sure. I was playing at Cherry Hills, 1960. Hogan couldn't have been nicer. He was fantastic. He played the way I like to play. He didn't. People say Hogan won't ever talk to you. Well, Hogan talked to me a lot. He talked a lot in between shots, and we talked about different things. But when it got to be about 60 or 70 yards from the ball, boom, mouth shut, and off he thought about what he was going to do and how he was going to play. That particular day, it was he had hit the previous 18 greens in regulation, and we played 36 holes that day on the Saturday of the U.S. Open. And he hit the first 34 greens in regulation, so that's 52 greens in regulation he hit in a row. And I had the privilege and opportunity to watch that great swing and great motion and great striking of the ball. I think that when we finished the tournament, he was talking to Dan Jenkins, and he said, I played with a kid today, if he'd known how to win, could have won this tournament by quite a few shots, meaning I just wasn't experienced enough to understand how to win a golf tournament. And the next year at the Masters, 1961, I was in the locker room, and Ben walked in the locker room. And he says, hey, fella, which he called everybody fella. I said, hey, fella, how you doing? He says, you got a game? I said, Mr. Hogan, no, I don't. He says, well, let's go play. So we played a couple practice rounds at the Masters that year, and then the U.S. Open, the same thing happened at Oakland Hills. We played a couple practice rounds there. We became good friends. So he was obviously he saw something in a young kid. Matter of fact, the Masters I won in '66, I played with him in the last round there. I played a lot of tournament golf with Ben and enjoyed it very much. And he was a great person to watch, and you know, it's not the first time I saw Ben Hogan, though. In person, I saw Ben Hogan in 1955. He came to Purdue and at the USGA Juniors and gave a clinic. I did not meet him there, but I watched his clinic, and it was fantastic. So that was my first experience with Hogan. And I'll have to say that my first experience and recollection of the game of golf and tournament golf was Hogan in 1953. I was 13 years old, and I remember he had won the Masters, and it was on the radio as he was finishing up winning the U.S. Open. So now he won at Oakmont, and then he went on to Carnoustie and won there too. So I go back a long way with Hogan. I had great respect for him, and I had great admiration for him as a golfer and to me as a person.
When I began this adventure, I had no idea where it was going to lead me. I didn't know if I was going to find the answers that I was looking for, but it turned out to be the adventure of a lifetime. I learned everything I wanted to know. I made friends that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. And the craziest thing is, I've never felt so close to Mr. Hogan. In fact, it's because of Mr. Hogan that all my dreams have come true.
All's well that ends well. Today, Christo has a swing he can be proud of and feels closer than ever to his inspiration, Ben Hogan.
The Golf Channel had me go to Texas to play Mr. Hogan.
Well, you must be a pretty good golfer then.